Alrighty, so today I'm going to be talking about what's wrong with my 2007 CBR 600RR. So, as I mentioned in the last video, I may or may not have thrown this thing down the street at about 60 k's an hour the other day, and might have sustained a little bit of damage. So there's a few things wrong with it at the moment. Most of it cosmetic, and most of it that wasn't I've already fixed because I've been riding around for a little while now, just as it is. But I'll just quickly run through what's wrong with it today, because it is bloody hot. It's the middle of summer in Australia and it's 40 degrees, and I'm in my shed right now, which, as you can see, is not air conditioned. So running front to back with the damage, it's pretty minimal as far as things go. It was a pretty mild low side, if I'm honest. But it's my baby, and I want it to look good, so I'll be fixing it up. But so as you can see from the front here, it's missing a bit of the fairing, or it's cracked off, as well as this mirror here, which got a little bit scraped up. That'll just be getting changed. This lever here was a bit janked up, so that's already been replaced, because obviously that's pretty important. This bar end here, it's just got a little bit messed up. And as you can see, there's a bit of a scrape here on the fairing. I'm not sure how obvious that is. There we go. So the rider's foot peg was also snapped off right here at the base, just there. So that's already been replaced with a bloody expensive OEM one. As you can see, the pillion peg also hit the ground, so that is all scraped up and stuff. I've also got another OEM one of those that I just haven't got around to changing yet. Also damn expensive for genuine Honda bits, but the Wreckers didn't have any second-hand ones, unfortunately. Damage to the fairings continues up here. That's probably the worst of it, this big scrape here on the tail section. So that's a no-go for me. This is there on the seat as well. Continuing on back, the left indicator also got snapped off, so that's an aftermarket one. That's pretty cheap, but obviously I needed that to ride, so that's already been replaced. As you can see, it doesn't quite match though. This one is quite clear as opposed to the standard tinted one. But I'll see what I can do about tinting this. So just down here on the rear stand spool, where that bolt's on, the little eyelet, captive bolt, whatever you want to call it, has obviously been bent a bit when the rear spool hit the ground. So the weld's a bit cracked, so I just have to get someone to TIG that up for me. I've got new spools to go on them and everything. This frame slider's got a bit bashed up. Did their job, obviously. There's pretty minimal damage to the bike. None of the cases got scratched or anything. No actual mechanical damage, just aside from the peg and the lever and stuff. But obviously, yeah, this bracket here is fairly bent, and the slider's seen better days. So I'll just have to order some new ones of those, probably a pair to make them match, because these are pretty faded and old anyway. So yeah, that's about the extent of the damage to my CBR. I guess the next stuff you guys will see is me throwing some parts at it. And I'm going inside to sit in the aircon and have an icy pole, because fuck me, it's hot. Alrighty, so I decided to remove the swing arm first, just so I could get this welded up, so I could install the new swing arm spool, so that I can stick it on the stand to do the rest of the work. So I basically just hang it from my ceiling by some ratchet straps, because I don't have a bike lift, and yanked off the swing arm. It was pretty straightforward, so I didn't film any of it. So I'll give this a quick wash and take it down to the welder. First of all, just apologies for that bird that will not shut the fuck up. So I just thought quickly I would mention that the main reason I'm going to give it a clean is just because it's filthy, because I never wash my bike, and it's just going to make it a whole lot easier to work with if it's not fucking covered in grease and disgusting for the bloke. But also clean material sort of helps welder as well. I mean, obviously he's going to grind it down in that as well. But yeah. Alrighty, so I've got my swing arm back today. Next day, sorted me out pretty good. All tigged up, looking nice. So I'll just throw some black paint on there, make it look all nice, because it'll be underneath, so it doesn't really matter if I paint match it too well. Alrighty, so I just masked it up just to try and make it a bit neater. See how we go.
Alrighty, so as you can see, it wasn't the greatest paint match, but it'll do because it'll only be on the underside of the swing arm anyway. So basically, I'm just going to get the chain back on and the little cover back on there. Connect the shock and the swing arm to this linkage. Pivot bolt in. Chuck the rear wheel and the axle back on. Tension the chain, it should be sweet. Alrighty, so she should be all set. I just got to tension up the chain and tighten up the axle. Should be good. But first I'll just stick my new swing arm spool on, and that way I can put them on the stand to tension the chain. Should be sweet. First things first though. Hey puppy. Oh, ish.
Alrighty, so it's all good on the stand. I'm not going to bother filming tensioning a chain, you'll know how to do it. So, all over, pretty straightforward. Couple little niggles that took some time to sort out. It was a lot easier ripping them out than it was putting them back in, but I guess that's always how it goes. Required the fabrication of one custom tool. Just cut down a 5/8 worth socket, so I mean, it's not going to be the common socket for anyone's trying to replicate this, but just for the castle lock nut type dealy for the pivot bolt on the swing arm, the very front shaft, just to adjust that back up again. But that was about it. Alrighty, so I've got the bike on the stand. I think it's finally time to take it apart for the last time before it's finished. It's sort of been apart and in pieces and then back on the road again, and I've been riding around and then back in pieces again a few times since I stacked it. So hopefully this will be the last time. I'm gonna take the fairings off, try and sort the Oggy knob out, all that sort of stuff, is come to my attention that I've got a bent bar end. The more I've been riding around, I sort of noticed it, so I've got a second handy from the wreckers. So I'll be taking this front fairing off and the screen and all that, so I can get to it a bit easier. Maybe the tank fairing and all that sort of stuff as well, just to get out of the way. And I'll be doing the bar end first, and then hopefully doing the fairings and all that sort of stuff. So I probably won't be time lapsing it. I think I've made you suffer through enough time lapses with shitty music. But so I'll probably just film the important stuff and give you updates as I go. Sweet. Just as a word of advice, always keep all your bolts and nuts and stuff, loose bits, in a plastic sandwich bag or something like that. Or if you got a tray, that's even better. I mean, plastic sandwich bags aren't the best in the environment, but it's all I got at the moment. My cup is full of crap at the moment. Yeah, but otherwise you lose stuff like I have, so I've got to go to Honda now and buy some new fairing bolts that I've had off since the stack. Probably paid 20 bucks a fucking bolt or something ridiculous, but oh, should be right. Alrighty, now the mirror's off, I can rip this front fairing off. While it does look pretty clean, I have no idea why anyone would run no mirrors on the street though. Alrighty, so I got the front fairing off. Just something to note is to keep all your old fairings if you're doing a fairing swap like me, so you can keep these little clips, because I'm presuming I'm going to have to swap those over. I don't think the fairings I bought came with that. And also, don't go yanking it off, because this driving light, center light, obviously will be attached to the front fairing if you've got a CBR like me. Oh, what am I losing? Oh. Alright, second note, careful that you don't lose all the little clips out of your front fairing when you're trying to make shitty YouTube videos. Wow, what a weird view. Is that what it's like to ride a naked bike? Oh wait, hang on. Pretty much. Alright, so I know I said I wasn't going to film a whole lot of this, but just taking off the clip-on and the top triple tree clamp and all that, I might actually film, just because I haven't seen a whole lot of that out on YouTube and I've no idea what I'm doing, so maybe it'll help someone else in my position. First things first, I'll grab the munted bar end, the grip, the controls and all that off this. Just fondle my bar, that was weird. What am I doing with my hands? Alrighty, so to get your switches and that off, as you can see I've already loosened them but there, so I can twist it. You don't want to undo them all the way, otherwise this falls in half. You don't need to slide this off. But there's a Phillips head here, and in the opposing corner just down here. Well, I'm going to undo this one too. Take the clamp off, take the clip-on off, and then I'm just going to invert it and slide it off, because the wiring loom isn't long enough to pull it all the way off. So that's the plan so far. Alrighty, so the controls are loose. Already loosened this off. It's a 30mm on a 2007 CBR 600 RR. Just for reference if you're doing it. We'll yank these off. I'm going to do the pinch bolts. And I'll whack this cover off. And then we'll see how this steering dampener comes off. Alrighty, so one thing I didn't mention. You just want to yank, if you've got the 2007 CBR with the electronic steering dampener that is. You just want to yank the steering dampener out of here first. I didn't even think about that. Alrighty, so we got the clamp out of the way. Loosen this pinch bolt off on the clip-on as well. 12mm, just like the top clamp, top cover, whatever you want to call it. And then I'll try and film this while I do it one-handed. So, as you can see, there's a stopper here. Can't go too far, which is handy because I didn't measure anything before I started. Alrighty, I'm going to do this one here. The idea is I'm going to twist it here and slide everything off that way, now that the wiring harness will reach, but I can't do it one-handed, so I'll pick this back up in a sec. Alternatively, I just realised I could leave everything as it is and just slide the clip on through it. Or like, oh shit, lucky these fairings are getting changed. This is hard one-handed, man. How do people do this? Like that. Alrighty, so new clip-on on, top clamp on, done up, Loctite done up, should be all sweet. was pretty straightforward. A couple little things caught me out, but nothing major. I'll do these up once I put the grip and the bar end and that on, and I know where it all fits. But for now, I could just flop around there. Alrighty, so now the clip-on's done. I'm probably just going to start tearing into it, ripping the fairings off. I was thinking about replacing each piece as it came off with the new fairings, but since some of them are sort of connected to each other on the inside, like especially these side fairings over here, I'll probably just rip them all off, transfer all the hardware over, and then rip the new ones on, and hopefully I don't mix up any of the bolts that hold them on. So we'll see how we go. Alrighty, so for the rear tail section, pillion seat off. 1, 2, 3, 4 5mm Allen heads, like everything on this bike. And then this should just like that. So for the tank fairing, you want to do 2 little push pins, which are a pain in the ass if they've been taken off more than once, like mine. This boy here. There's this little push pin dealie here, little button, and a little 10mm here. So once you got those off, just grab it from the sides, and should sort of just slide off. Like that. Alrighty, so as you can see, I've got the top half of the side fairing off on this side. So to do that, basically all the little 5mm Allens off this side. I did all of them at once. Then there is one of those button type push pin things just at the tip of my finger. I don't know if you can be able to see it. And then there are 2 of the screw type push pins here and here. And then the whole thing came off, and I just disconnected the indicator wiring. There's plenty of space to pull the fairing off and then disconnect the indicator. I left the indicator on that fairing just because there's all sorts of plastic, I don't know if it's bracketry or what, behind there that I'm obviously going to have to transfer over, so I just thought I'd keep it all together for now and I can do it all at once. Fairings off both sides, and I was just having a look at how my Oggy knobs go on when I realised that this engine bolt was finger tight. So that's just what you want, and one of the funny things that you find out when you're taking stuff apart. Wouldn't go a whole lot towards explaining why it's a little vibey and makes a bit of a vibrating noise, but it might have something to do with it, so that'll be getting done up in a sec. So I got the frame slider bracket off, so I'll yank this knob off, go stick it in the vise and see if I can navigate straightening it. Alrighty, so we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming for a bit of an update on the XJR 1300. So as you can see, this rear shock's a bit flogged out. It's leaking a bit of oil. Could do with some new seals and a bit of a rebuild. So I'm just going to yank these off because the CBR is still in many pieces. So that's out of action at the moment. I need a bike to ride, so I'll probably get both of them repaired or rebuilt since they're both the same age and both done the same amount of work. So I can assume this side's one is going to be just as flogged out, even though it's not leaking yet. And they're pretty easy to pull apart. There's a Torx bit there and a bolt that goes through the bottom, and that should be it. T40 Torx bit. Alright, so for the bolt that goes through the bottom, fucking better not be this one. Of course. Which means that one should be a 14. Yeah. I'm gonna get that out with the exhaust there. Just want to do that bolt on the shock. On the exhaust. Alright, that first bit where I was testing all the spanners was a bit of a joke, but how am I doing the fucking hell? The fuck? Of course. So no one has to go through the pain that I just did. 12mm. 199 XJR 1300 rear shock, remote reservoir fanciness. Both shocks off. Just a little tip, it's probably pretty obvious, but just got all the bolts back in the bike loose, and the shaft on the bottom just done up in the shock so I don't lose them. Might actually just get a bit of rod and make the first ever Yamaha hardtail. Or maybe not. Alrighty, just a bit of an update. Time has passed. I got this bracket bent up for me. I couldn't do it in my vise, so I took it to a Boilermaker. I did get some other stuff done for something else and got it done while I was there. He just heated it up with his oxy and smashed it in place, and now it's sick. I gave it a wire wheel and a bit of a paint, so that'll be going back on the bike soon. And it's done. Just kidding, not quite. But I was just putting mirrors on, and I bought some aftermarket mirrors. And that one there clearly says right hand, and this one here clearly says left hand. However, they're both left hand. They're both the same. They both fit the left side. So I guess that's going back. So yeah, just make sure you check when you're picking stuff up like that. So while the fairings are off, I'm just going to give it a quick service. I'm just going to do the oil and filter and air filter and that. I'm not going to bother doing plugs yet. It's not really due. But well, it's not really due for a service at all really, but I figured while the fairings are off, it makes it nice and easy. So it's a good excuse for a cold start as well, while I'm halfway through putting it back together. Alrighty, so it's had a little run, oil's nice and warm. Another little trick, just as a side note, when you take the filter off, instead of having all the oil drip all over your headers and then stink when you start it up again, it's always good, just chuck a little bit of tinfoil on there and then try and like drape it in a way so that it drains into the drain tray. I mean, it kind of creates as much mess as it solves, but yeah, it just really helps. Alrighty, fairings are on. Far out, man, what a mission. Yeah, next time I stack my bike, rather than buying aftermarket fairings for it, I'll just burn the fucking thing to the ground. Oh, dude. Bit of a review of the Monster fairings. Compared to OEM fairings, they're crap. Compared to some of the cheap shit, they're pretty good. They fit alright. You gotta have a lot of patience and a drill and to make them fit. But aside from that, no, they look pretty good and they fit alright once you're done. But 2 afternoons of just wanting to kill yourself to get them to go on. But they came out alright, and I like the look of it. Good pattern. Oh, someone's lost their dog out there. But yeah, they look alright. Came out pretty good. It's about Instagram worthy now. It's not quite finished, but I just got to do bar ends and grips, go get that mirror. I'll probably ride this up to get the mirror now that it's going. It's been about a month since I rode it. It's been off the road that long. I guess you wouldn't tell with all the shitty editing that I've done, making it seem like just mere days. But yeah, so I'll do grips, bar ends. What else did I have? Oh yeah, I'm gonna do that Oggy knob. I think that's about it. Should be sweet. Should be back to regular daily duties. So, as with all things, when you're working on stuff, there's an untold mess at the end. Luckily for me, though, I have magical powers. Alrighty, well, here's the finished product. Got the new grips on, new bar ends, well, bar end, the throttle side, obviously being the old clip-on, had a different thread to the new clip-on, and the bar ends I bought were for an 07 CBR 600, but for some reason, I don't know if this has had clip-ons before or what, but they were different thread, because this second-hand clip-on was off, according to the wrecker, a 2007 as well. So I don't know what goes on there, but I'll just drill out the center of that other bar end and throw it on there, and then it'll be all matchy-matchy and finished. I also haven't put on this new pillion peg yet, but that's probably not worth videoing and putting in the video, so I'll just do that at some point. But yeah, the bike is pretty much done. But I parked it at uni yesterday because I've been riding it around, and I parked it under a tree, and of course it's summer showered, so it drips sap all over it, being the first rain in a while. I managed to wash most of it off, but you can kind of see it's kind of stained it a bit, so I'm going to wash that off before it actually eats into the paint. Having a white car, I know what that's like. So yeah, I'm just going to give this a wash and we'll see how we go.